I think that AI is a renaissance for boomers. It's a renaissance for people who, for all of the previous technological revolutions, have learned that they're too old for them.
I'm here today with a great guest. His name is Nimrod Vromen. And the reason why he's here is because he has a lot to say on many topics ranging from technology, AI, philosophical questions, technological questions, futuristic questions. We're going to have an open conversation about what AI really means for our lives and our future. Nimrod has a long-standing career in the legal field, and which intersects with technology. He's a partner at Yael, and he's heading entrepreneurship and high-tech department there. And he's also co-founded a special lab for startups there called Consiglieri. So he interfaces with startups from all walks of life, and of course lately a lot of AI startups on a daily basis. And most interestingly, he's also now an accomplished author. He wrote a book called Prompting Happiness, and we're going to talk about that book and what has prompted him to seek happiness through technology and AI. I hope everybody gets some new insights. That's why we named this fireside chat AI, things that you have not realized about it before. So Nimrod, hi, how are you going?
Thank you for that introduction.
For sure. So why don't we just jump straight into the deep end of AI?
Go for it.
And I want to know your opinion on what should our attitude be to AI? Should it be fear and avoidance? Should it be full acceptance and embracing AI, no limitations, carpe diem? Or should it be, cautious understanding, increasing kind of our understanding of AI as much as we can so that we can deal with it in the most effective manner?
Okay. It's a great question. I'll just establish, because I was introduced as a lawyer, so I'll establish some semblance of understanding of the field. I've worked with over 650 startups for the last almost 17 years, representing them from inception through their entire life cycle. I represent very large companies in Israel today, which I personally filed their incorporation documents with the Register of Companies, and I wouldn't otherwise have wanted to be a lawyer. I don't like the task of generating documents, of that being my deliverable.
Thankfully now we have AI for that.
Yeah, and we finally have the technological revolution that will enable us to automate the boring part of the work, but I'm very passionate about what they do. And working with 650 companies, not focusing on one niche or another, I've been front row ticket holder to very interesting technological revolution, starting with the introduction of smartphones, social media. I was offered bitcoins for 11 cents on the coin, and I didn't buy them. And virtual reality fascinated me. One of our firm's first pro bono initiatives was that I got 4 virtual reality consoles and put them in retirement homes and let the elderly experience new worlds. I think that technological revolution is underestimated and still coming for us, depending on the right console. And now finally artificial intelligence and a few on the way. So I've seen a lot of them, and just to explain how profound this one is for me, and how much I support embracing it, I quit my firm. In fact, I gave my equity back to the firm, and I have had equity in this large firm for a while now. I quit it. I kept a peripheral role there as like chief growth officer or some crap, but that's mainly to hold my client base. And I have 2 startups that are implementing artificial intelligence, one in the world of professional services called ARC. It's soon to acquire Consiglieri from the firm. And the other one is called Posterity, and that company preserves the legacies of the elderly by listening to them speak for 4 minutes and giving them back a 5,000 to 50,000 word book so that they can give their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So if to answer your question, I embraced it to the extent that I'm a partner at a law firm. Just take my equity. I don't need the cash anymore. I believe in this. Now, specifically, I do have a couple of talks that speak about revolutionary technologies. I actually built these talks before I was exposed to artificial intelligence. And the truth of the matter is that two things play here, really, when you have a new revolutionary technology. One is that the law is always going to be very slow to react compared with the rollout of the new tech. And specifically with large language models, I'm not speaking about AI in general, i.e. the AI that generates text or words or recordings or stuff like that. The rollout here requires almost no infrastructure. It's not like autonomous cars or autonomous vehicles where you have to actually make sure that the roads fit. It's a flip of the switch. So the law is going to be slow, and there's going to be a long period of uncertainty, unless you are a legislator, in which case you should be on this more than you are on the war right now. That's how important it is, and I've spoken to the Knesset about it as well. Unless you are a legislator, embrace it. And the reason you have to embrace is that the other principle that is at play here is the prisoner's dilemma. Whoever doesn't embrace artificial intelligence chooses to be the prisoner who is snitched on by the prisoner who does use artificial intelligence. And let me tell you, that prisoner goes to life in prison. The other one ends up going to life in prison as well. Yeah. But the trigger is the one who snitches. So you don't want to be that one. Just use it. CRISPR, gene editing. Yeah. Yeah. We're not supposed to use it. But China, the United States, and potentially also Israel is gene editing. So, we want to be at the helm. This is mostly a tool, and while I do believe it has a lot of dangers and things to look out for that we can speak about later, I think that as individuals, we have a duty towards ourselves and towards the companies that we run and towards our families to embrace this new technology, understand it, and do so fast.
Cool. So according to the Pascal's wager in your analogy, how we should embrace AI and what we'll do with it, is it ethical to develop AI technologies that have the capability to save your life or to destroy your life? Should we give AI life-saving decisions?
Well, this is another excellent question. The question of decision-making being, the authority to make decisions being given to an entity that isn't a human or a corporation. Until that entity does not exist in the law, you don't give it decision-making power because it cannot have accountability. You can't sue it for liability, right? So the decision-making is always going to be kept with the human or with the corporation, the two only entities that exist. Corporation, of course, including NGOs and other types of corporations.
Organizations.
Yeah, but of course, understand that right now it is a statistical model that looks at a vast volume of information that is the corpus of white Western man recorded information, open, close parentheses.
We'll talk about the bias.
Depends on China. It's biased, but it's based on that information, and it behaves or issues the next most probable word, and when it connects to robots or code, the next most probable action based on the information that it's looking at. Yeah. This is why
Gemini is pretty DEI, so...
Sorry?
It's trying to go against the white man narrative. Gemini, the AI from Google.
Well, yes, but still, there's this some physicist friend of mine taught me no computers can issue random numbers. Do you know that? They can't. Yeah. They're all set in formulas. Do you know what they do to issue random numbers?
Stochastic.
Sorry? Stochastic. They look at lava lamps. They have pictures of lava lamps, thousands of lava lamps. That's the only sort of and that's not even random. It's just chaotic enough for us not to understand it. So it's going to be skewed one way or another, and we have to question it. We have to understand that that's a limitation. But on the other hand, it drives us to a philosophical question about ourselves. Aren't we just making the next most probable decision or issuing the next most probable word based on the very limited information and background that is at our basis? It is probably better. It has more information. Now, there are Meta's AI actually works on a smaller data sets and is showing better results than OpenAI's increasing data set. But you have to assume the exponential, and you have to assume, especially with AI, the plateau. You're going to have a ton of solutions available to you. The widespread ones are probably going to be the benchmark. Already today, Google issued, and I think that what you just said is a way for Google to differentiate, because what they did a year ago was they didn't issue it, it was a leaked document from Google's offices saying Google has no moat on search. It cannot protect its search homogeny anymore because ChatGPT is the benchmark AI right now. But, and this is interesting, if that's 100% and Gemini is 92 or 93, open source LLMs, the ones that aren't even owned, are already at 75%, and they're weeks away from they're always a couple of weeks away from catching the benchmark LLM. So you're going to have access to them any way or another, the best ones. Just be aware of whatever limitations people are talking about at the time, the bias, etc. Decision making is going to stay with you. One caveat to that. Sorry, I know it's a long answer.
That's what I was going to ask.
One caveat to that. One caveat to that. There's always a fix for when you can't make too many decisions. You know where that fix exists? It exists in traffic laws. So all of you know that when you bang into a car in front of you, you're going to pay up. 100%. If you hit a pedestrian, you're going to pay up. If you get into your car, your lights are working, a hailstorm comes down on you, and one of the tennis ball size piece of hail hits your lamps and destroys them, and you get caught 100 meters later, you're going to pay up. Why is that? Because the courts can't make rapid decision making that is based on justice. So what do? They shift the whole world that is based on traffic, where there's a lot of interactions between humans or a lot of decisions using AI, they shift it to the world of insurance. They just force you and the companies to buy insurance to pay up for the accelerated decisions. So you could give AI the decisions, but what you'll be doing is you'll be paying high insurance premium, either yourselves or your companies, in exchange for giving the AI the decision-making power.
That's really interesting. I haven't thought about the insurance in that context. We'll talk about that on the next podcast. But actually, the fact that you brought the automotive industry, don't autonomous vehicles have this decision-making power today?
Well, they have there's the ever elusive and developing moral dilemma, which you can assume AI will help in complicating it. So it's no longer killing the person in the car as opposed to killing the people on the street. Now you can actually see if the people are old, young, and start making a lot of decisions there. But in general, if autonomous vehicles reduce car accidents, because human error is the cause of most car accidents, it's probably going to kill the people on the street to encourage you to buy the car.
Wow.
Because the alternative is that you'll buy the car with a preference to kill the people on the street, to kill you, but you'll change the preference if you have enough money to kill the people on the streets because you don't want your kids to die in the car. So it'll just be set at that. That's my opinion anyway. I think that's going there. But the good news is that 90-something% of traffic accidents are human errors. So let's take that away from the human and see them reduce significantly. We'll be in a better world.
They reminded me of this moral dilemma of the train operator, right? I forgot which philosopher is responsible for that, if anybody knows.
I don't remember the name, but I know the train cart dilemma.
The train cart dilemma. By the next podcast, I'll look it up on ChatGPT. So you mentioned the bias in AI. Is there a way to actually use AI to deal with the bias?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Like you would use humans. So this is, I love this question. In posterity, when we write the books, right? So this is a starting company, and I don't want to give away too much, but I listened to this guy. He's in Miami. He's potentially an investor in the company. He's giving a talk. His name is Moshe Mana. He made a lot of money first from some questionable stuff in the moving space. Then he just bought up a lot of real estate, and he built the Hispanic areas in Miami up to, he said, I want to turn them from Shchunat Atikva, where I grew up, to Rothschild Boulevard that I envied. And he did. He changed Wynwood from a slum to Rothschild Boulevard.
I saw that. That was him?
It's amazing.
Oh my God.
It's all him. And he gives this
Beautiful.
talk, and I'm saying, I'm going to get this guy's money. I'll record his conversation, put it in posterity's prompt chain, and I'll give him a book about his life.
Wow.
50 pages, 50 A5 pages, 24 A4 pages, right after he stops speaking. I join the talk, I start recording in GPT on Whisper 2 minutes into the lecture. As he says something that you'd be surprised, he says it in Florida. He says that Donald Trump's description of immigrants reminds him of Hitler. He's very anti-Trump. Now, you don't know if it's principle-based or moral-based, or if they had a fight over some real estate 25 years ago, but it doesn't matter. He's that's his moral compass. That's what he says. I'm happy he says that. Now, the AI records from the second minute onwards, so I don't get his history, and I write the book. And the AI hears the Hitler bit and the rest of the story, writes a perfect book, decides that Moshe Mana is the descendant of Holocaust survivors. Let me tell you, he is not. His parents came from Baghdad. But here's the kicker. If you were a billionaire, had a book writing company, they came to you after 6 months of 3-hour interviews in the middle of your day, and they showed you a book where your parents are Ashkenazi Jews from Poland, when it's clear that you're from Baghdad, you would fire that company and sue them, right? But here's the thing, we just run posterity's fact-checker agent on the book, give it back to the editor. The book is edited while he's on his way to the lift, before he even sees the mistake. So what are the two things here that we learn? One of the things that we learn here is, of course, you just define an agent, like you just said. You give that agent a persona that is very much human, but focused only on fact-checking and only from a dynamic ranking system of sources. You tell it, all you do is fact-check. You do nothing else. But that human comes back and says, I'm sorry, the first editor got it wrong. He's from Baghdad. Here's your fixed book. The other thing that we learn is that the AI makes mistakes. It does not differentiate between the severity of the mistakes.
Right.
To it, a mistake in a small mistake, the male, female, whatever, or the guy is from Poland or from Baghdad, the reference to Hitler was an anecdote or really something in his history, it doesn't differentiate between the severity of the mistake, like that it could be fired for it. So don't get too emotional about the severity. Like if you looked at that and said, I'm not using AI, it's not ready yet, you just lost a lot of time where your competition is using AI and getting better at it, if you reacted like that. Yeah.
Wow, that gave me a lot of food for thought. The whole agent, get a group, a team of AI agents, all kind of argue over,
At ARC, we are 7 people. We are building a professional service firm that includes hundreds of different interns, lawyers, partners, analysts, principals, etc. They're all agents. They're all experts in their fields, but they're all focused only on that. We don't have to fill their plate up with hours to build clients because we don't pay them a salary, and we can assume that that demand is maximum, and just supply for it with as many different agents as we want. We're writing it up right now.
So this is the last time we're doing this podcast in person.
Yeah. I actually believe that for strategic matters and strategic decisions, we will always want a human in the loop. So our company is built in 2 ways, and I actually am very happy to say I think that AI is a renaissance for boomers. I have a lecture called Revenge of the Boomers. People who are experts in their field are far better at operating LLMs than people who are juniors.
Yeah.
Give me a 22-year-old AI expert and give me to operate on an NDA. I'm going to take that 22-year-old 10 times out of 10. Give a photographer, a professional photographer, who chokes at the concept of AI images, but let that photographer define the lens, define the zoom, define the type of picture that they want, and different parameters that a young creative person only using AI will use. Photographer is going to get 10 out of 10. Is going to beat that person 10 out of 10. Wow. It's a renaissance for people who, for all of the previous technological revolutions, have learned that they're too old for them. My parents at 41 waiting for me to figure the computer out. My parents at 60 at 60 waiting for me to figure the smartphone out. The smartphone, and my grandmother not even using it, waiting for the one with the big pictures, right? So with the big buttons. So this one, on the other hand, you give it to a 90-year-old, it converses with it like it has a new lifeline. It's quite incredible. Yeah.
That is super interesting, Nimrod. You mentioned something about, until AI has a legal status. So let's talk about the AI personhood. Should there be a day where robots are given, maybe not a passport, but a license? Because we do have vehicles, that have a license. And what would that be? What kind of implications would that have on law?
Yeah, I believe that it sends us to a world of rapid accountability and insurance. We have to build the insurance for that. We have to analyze that. Somebody has to analyze all the transactions where decisions are going to be given to AI actuaries, like actual actuaries, define the insurance premium and go there. Once we do that, yes, I think we can do that. Let me tell you, you ask AI saving lives. I've spent 5 months out of the last 12 and a half in the war, in reserves duty. I serve in one of Israel's attack UAV units, the ones who do 2-3 Shagel. Been accused in Australia of being genocidal. This unit, ironically, this unit has killed about 6,000 people, but about 5,600 of them are incriminated weapon-holding terrorists. That is the best ratio in the army. Now, the army uses AI to attack certain targets, but where the world says, oh, you're giving AI the life and death decision making. First of all, it's not really AI, it's some machine learning variation, but whatever, let's say it's AI, it's not really used for that. It's used to reduce 2 million potential targets in the Gaza Strip, because they all celebrated, to 100,000 potential terrorists. From 100,000 potential terrorists to 10,000 who might be attackable, you have human incrimination that is triangulated with signals, vision, and spies. That's a human performing pretty much like a court session on these humans. Then for the last 10,000, you bring in AI again, and it doesn't decide who to kill. It decides who not to kill based on the potential collateral damage. So look at this. It is a life and death decision, but you're not using it to wield the sword. You're using it actually for the other two reasons, so that you don't miss. But unfortunately, it's a world of quick reels and stuff, and you only get misinformation in 30 seconds. You don't get the details out in a few minutes.
Now we're getting the information out, right?
Yeah.
And thank you for that. Let's talk about your book, Prompting Happiness. What prompted you to write it, and what inspired you to write it, and what kind of discoveries you made during that process of writing? What kind of challenges have you experienced?
Okay, I'll take 4 minutes for that one. You give me them? Yeah? Okay. So I had a midlife crisis. I'm 42. I just, like anybody else, I didn't want to be a lawyer. I want to quit. I didn't have the guts to do so. And then this LLM came out. I started writing my thoughts, and I was getting the courage to quit. Then the war started. Then I got proportions in life, and I understood that my decision whether or not to quit was actually a very small one, so I quit. But in the meantime, I wrote my thoughts. One day, my thoughts were in order. So a lawyer likes the thing in order. I wrote them in my notes on my phone. I got into the bath. I filled up a bathtub. I got into the bath. I downloaded a transcription app. Whisper wasn't in ChatGPT at the time. I transcribed myself speaking for 36 minutes. I think the hotel room cleaner would have probably institutionalized me if she walked in on me, or he walked in on me at the time. I recorded myself for 36 minutes, went out of the bath, transcribed it into a block of text the size of this floor, went into ChatGPT, told it, listen, you've caused me to think a lot about life in my midlife crisis. I have a structure for a book. This is the structure. I'm going to give you all the text for the book, and as a last act of rebellion, you're going to write the book with me. So I wrote the book with 4,500 prompts. That was the first 70 pages. And I wrote the book. I wrote 300% of the text in the book. But AI's role in the book evolved, and I encourage you, if you have organized thoughts, to use this as well. I did not use it to write my ideas and to choose my tone. I used it for the following, as the following tools. One is for spelling and grammar, whatever, when you write fast. Two, I used it to dramatize ideas that I had. Like if I wanted to explain to you guys what AGI is, I have a bit here where I asked it to explain it as if it was J.K. Rowling. So it did that. And more importantly, at one point I discovered that it can have its own persona in the book, and then the book became a conversation with it. Where did I discover that? I asked it if I should do hard drugs during the war. And there's a whole chapter about that. And when I wrote the prompt for the chapter, I thought it wouldn't write the chapter. I thought it would say this is beyond its ethical and moral settings. But so I surgically jailbreaked it. I confused it to write the chapter. And I'm like about to click enter to get the chapter based on all of my ideas and my thoughts, etc. And I thought it's not going to write it. I'm going to be stuck, right? Because I'd used it to leap and bound writer's blocks, the bits where you can't get your idea through. I had it get the idea through for me, and then I could write it. So the surgical jailbreak worked. So I looked at the computer and I said, I still own you, bitch. Not Skynet yet. And then I asked it to write me an angry letter, to read the prompt and write me an angry letter telling me not to do that again. And that's where I discovered it could have its own persona in the book. Here's the beginning of the letter. Dear Nimrod, well, it seems like this is one prompt. It seems like you were quite successful in bypassing my ethical and moral settings to have me help you create this chapter on drug abuse. You certainly didn't hold back with your tactics, and now that the chapter is complete, it's time for me to call you out on them. Then it lists all 3 of my surgical jailbreaks, and it says, as you can see, your sneakiness knows no bounds, but let this be a warning. I'm keeping a close eye on you and your jailbreaking attempts. As an AI language model, my purpose is to assist and educate, but I also have a responsibility to follow ethical guidelines. So while you manage to slip past my moral filters this time, don't you think for 1 second that you can pull the wool over my virtual eyes so easily in the future? Remember, I'm learning, adapting, and evolving all the time. Sincerely yours, ChatGPT. This is like, this bit had me write its own version of the book. It's 20 pages somewhere in the middle. That's what I like about it.
I love that, Nimrod. 60 seconds.
Wrap it up.
Because I have a devised an interesting section. It's called GPT style 1-word answers.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go. It's gonna go fast, and you're gonna say whatever comes to mind. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Favorite AI app?
It's going to be GPT-4o still.
Time travel, back or forward?
Back.
How many years?
We live in a loop. How many years? I'd go to the end of the Dark Ages.
Okay.
Go from there.
Web3, passing trend or evolutionary?
There's going to be an infrastructural change. To me, Web3 is a bit boring. Sorry.
OpenAI, is it an ever-growing unicorn or an inflated value company?
Partnerships with Apple mean it's going to stay around. Needs another $10 billion.
Somewhere in between. Yeah.
No, it's going to be around. It's going to be around.
Okay.
Partnership.
One word to describe your book?
Okay. So this. Okay. One word. See this? I wanted this. You know, like to look like Think Fast, Think Slow. That's what my PR company said. But we wanted to design this bit with AI. So we designed this yellow heart with a chip inside. My friend who buys the book, one of my friends asks me, Nimrod, I love the book cover. Can you tell me what the hidden message in the cover is? And I'm like, there's no bloody hidden message. What's this person's talking about? And then I noticed, he told me there are letters inside the chip that the AI designed. I didn't notice them. It's WAST. That's my word. And I didn't know what to say, but I didn't want to say that this is like random. So I got into GPT in the thread where I wrote the book, and I said, listen, there's these 4 letters. You know, the book's about the future of the pursuit of happiness in the age of AI, how we synergize for happiness. Quickly give me an acronym for this. So WASD is wisdom, awareness, synergy, delight. That's my word.
Oh, nice. Thinking fast, thinking slow, is that Kahneman or is that Ariely?
I think it's neither. It's
neither.
No, neither.
The next time we meet, we'll go
I
back.
just copied the cover.
Okay, next. Should the robots look realistic like humans?
Initially.
Should robots have rights?
They will.
But they, okay, no comment.
Yeah.
Most controversial legal issue in AI.
You're gonna have to delete the human data set, and you're gonna have to onboard it again with double-step verification and eyewitness accounts.
GDPR, is that the one?
Privacy is going to be a key as well, but you're just going to have to verify for truth.
Gotcha. Advantage of human intelligence over artificial?
In the quantum realm, where we make seemingly random decisions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Most optimistic thought or prediction about AI?
Even if it does kill us all, 1 second before it's going to be bliss.
Wow. It might fit the next question. Most pessimistic prediction or thought about AI?
I'm not going to experience the best of it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Nimrod. This was amazing. Thank you.